everybody, welcome to Web Components from Space. I think I made a big mistake. So, last season I relied a little too heavily on AI. My AI buddy, the Web Componentron, it freaked out and blew a hole through my space lab, and this is why I'm here on Earth now. So, lesson learned? Maybe not, because I had big plans for this season of Web Components from Space where I would use ChatGPT to make me an intro for each episode going forward. But here's the thing, I got a little too confident in ChatGPT what it could do after I saw the initial results. But now that I've been frustrated to no end after I tried to do multiple of these, I think I made a mistake. So let me show you what I've been doing. And I started using ChatGPT 3.5 at first, and it failed all the time for me trying to do this. So I paid $20 for ChatGPT version 4. It's doing a little better. And again, I had my hopes set up too high. So here's my first pass. I wanted to make a WebGL shader that has a spooky effect, like aliens invading from space. In my mind, I'm thinking like scenes from the Matrix, like all the code glitching, the code that's drifting down from the screen, or like Independence Day, the alien interfaces on the ship. This is what I gave it, and it started writing a nice shader. But there's no JavaScript setup code right here, so so here's the thing with shaders for me. I write them so very infrequently that I don't want to look up how to do all the JavaScript to set this all up again. So I really want this to just do it for me. Unlike what you see with like GitHub Copilot, where it's just like, hey, I'm pair programming with the AI. No, I just want this done all for me. I just want to give it some creative input. And so it looked like it was doing that. And we scroll down. All of a sudden, it ends on declaring vertex shader, so that's not going to work. So please finish this code for me is what I said. And then it did the same thing again. It gave me some more code, but it stopped right shortly after that. And then it did it again, and I'm like, okay, I should start over, right? So my second pass is where stuff started getting good. My thinking with this second pass was that let's create a simple shader to start off with, right? So like, let's just get anything there. So let's just create a generic WebGL shader. I figure, that should be pretty easy to start off with. Hopefully some short code so we can actually finish it this time, right? Anyway, it did it, but it did it with Three.js, with a dependency on Three.js. So I don't want, like, Three.js is great. I just don't want to use the library. So I asked it, please assume I'm writing this without Three.js. So right off the bat, it gives me some HTML code. So let's copy this into our index.html right here. So we got that going. And then, of course, there's a main.js file. Paste it right in. And look at this. We stopped at vertex shader again. So I promise you, this time it actually worked well. Here's the rest of that code right here. And that comes after the vertex shader. And so I think that's what's going on. I think it only has so much of a buffer, and if you ask it to write too much code, it's going to be incomplete. And so once you get it to a good state, then we can start asking it to modify just the fragment shader so we can actually play around with some different shaders. So this is exactly what I'm doing here. So let's load this up and see what we get. Check that out. It's a nice little dripping rainbow effect. It's a little epileptic inducing, a little fast, but it's what I asked for. I wish the drips were a little more random though, but that's okay. This is not what I intend to do. I want to go back to that alien-like shader that I wanted. So I said, let's start over with that fragment shader. I want to make it that spooky alien theme over a dark background, lots of glitching, also very random, and I want to stay away from repeating patterns. So this is what I did, and here is, it just gave me a new fragment shader, so it completed the code this time. This is great. And check this out, this code I pasted in, it gave me a function, spooky palette. So if function names are all I needed, excellent job. When I refreshed my page, I looked at this shader, I'm like, this is great. This can be an intro. So I ended up using it for a teaser I did, but I wanted to make a few more, and that came a little bit later after I was all hyped on I can make WebGL shaders and not have to code them. This is great. So that hype died down pretty quickly. Now, before I explore ChatGPT shaders any further, you might ask yourself, what do web components have to do with this? We got to squeeze some web components in somehow. Well, you know what? Because this is all about building my intros, I needed a way to record this and send it over to Adobe Premiere so I could actually edit the intro along with each episode. So what I made was something called the recordable canvas component. You can download it at npm, check out the code on GitHub. It's all there. It works. Now, you've seen recordable canvases before. You've been able to record your canvas. I don't think you've seen anything that can record MP4. The problem is it's easy to record a WebM open source file. I think it uses a VP8 encoding that's open source in the Chrome player, but MP4 is a different thing altogether. I think it's license encumbered. So here's what I did. I used the new web codecs API to actually do some video encoding of frames and then save them to MP4, all with mp4box.js. So the web codecs API is super exciting. It's very low level video encoding and decoding. It's pretty cool, and this is what I used in the recordable canvas component. So let's actually try this out now. So I'm gonna load up this demo page I have in my repo, and here's the shader we just made. But we have a recording button at the bottom. We have a start recording button and a stop recording button. This all goes through the component API. So let's start recording. And you can see I threw a little red border around it just to indicate it's recording. So, okay, we recorded 9 seconds of it. So let's stop. And all of a sudden I have an MP4 file. What does it look like? It looks like the exact same thing. And so this is my plan. This gave me hope. I'm like, if this was this easy, I can do any intro I want based on any show theme I want. So I used this shader for a teaser that I already put out. So now I want to do a real thing. I want to do the shader for this very episode. Again, I'm still going for the alien invasion. I just want something different this time, I guess. So I told it I want some bright colors, green, orange, and yellow over dark backgrounds. So it did its thing. Here's the code. Here's the new fragment shader. It just gave me a simple fragment shader that I can drop in and replace the other one I have. So that's cool. And here's what I get. I guess it's kind of going for the aesthetic I asked. It looks a little uniform in how it's scaling and shrinking. The colors are changing. That's cool. I can notice like little, I guess glitchy blocks in the middle, if you can even make it out from this video. But I'm not satisfied with this, so let's iterate. And I identified what I don't like about it as a creative director is the sparseness of the lines. So they're sparse and they're hard to really make out. It's a lot of black. So I gave it that feedback and it came up with a new one. So with this shader, yeah, you can see it a lot better. That's for sure. But I don't know. It's kind of, let's just say I wouldn't put this in my show intro. So basically what I want is a more complicated animation. I told it, you really look like you're just scaling up and down. I hope it appreciated that feedback. I don't know if I understood it, but so I said I wanted more random motion. I think random motion is the key here. And I said, introduce that random motion throughout. So fingers crossed it's going to do something good. And yeah, it didn't do anything good. I mean, this is just random noise, and I think it picked up I wanted randomness, and it just gave me random noise animated with a rainbow effect with those dark colors that I initially specified. So yeah, not what I wanted, but technically I guess what I asked for, maybe. So I said, hey, look man, look ChatGPT, you went a little far with this randomness. It has a static-like effect. It looks like you're just introducing random noise. Can we split the difference between your last effort and this one? So this is actually super subtle. You have to really notice it. And I don't even know if you can pick it up in a YouTube video like I'm showing, but you can notice there's subtle glitchy blocks over the random noise, and they're so subtle I can't look at the camera and look at this and make it out. I have to really stare at it to really see this. But for all intents and purposes, it really didn't change. It's kind of like a magic eye thing at this point. So no go. So I complained again, and maybe me complaining is telling it keywords that I really shouldn't be reinforcing, but I said I think I'm seeing extremely subtle breakouts to the noise. I really like this, but it's hard to notice. And I think it understood, so let's check this out. And so it kind of did what I asked. It's very blobby looking. I like it, but I feel like I got here very accidentally. I think I like this a lot, and it might be what I go with, but I have some more notes. Can we use gradients instead of solid colors? Because I really feel like it could like make it a lot more dynamic and everything. Like, I'm such a good creative director, aren't I? So look at this. There we go. I think it really understood what I said just now. For once anyway. So this is great. But check it out. I can start recording this using my recordable canvas element. So it's all good. We're gonna grab this shader and dump it on the show intro. So there we go. So yeah, we got there. We got a good shader. It took a lot of iteration. I felt like a creative director dealing with a very dumb employee, right? I would never talk about a person that way, but we're talking about an AI. I've been saying my please and thank yous, but I feel like since it's non-sentient, I could just treat it mean and call it dumb. I wouldn't do that to a person again, but yeah. But at this point, this is where I started thinking, I'll just do it for a few more videos. I'm working on some things at work. Maybe I want to make some demo videos for that. So this is where it all just fell apart, honestly. So my first shader at work, I wanted to give a feeling of collaboration for this one. So I think I got a little too specific. Many of my examples ended up just being completely broken when I did this. So when I tell it, it doesn't work. Like, my canvas is completely white, nothing's happening. It says, yes sir, I'll do the job, and it suggests things. If the canvas appears rendering doesn't change, it's possible there's an issue. Please provide your code. And this is where things also go wrong. Never give ChatGPT your own code, apparently. I guess maybe just when it has to do with shaders. I don't know if it's a general rule, but when you give it your own code, it starts being very trapped in this one mode, right? And it can't break out of just giving you more and more errors. So I keep getting more and more excuses. It keeps giving more and more suggestions. Nothing works. I was getting errors in my console. There was a index of J that couldn't be initialized because, you know, the WebGL shader doesn't support initialization with a non-constant expression. So I said, you know, there's an error here, and it suggested the exact same thing again. And, you know, I think this is a good point. I've learned this is a good point to give up when you just can't break out of this cycle. So after a whole lot of trying, I did get this shader that I wanted to have for a project that I'm doing at work, an intro for my demo video. But here it is. It got there. All these circles are converging and contracting. I feel like it might give a sense of collaboration. You know, maybe I'm being a little, maybe I just gave up too quickly and like this is what I have. I do have another work project that I was doing that was related to search. So I wanted to do another intro video searching for something in a crowd. And so since I was on a successful tear here, I decided to keep the same chat, which ended up being good. This is what it came up with. I mean, it doesn't look amazing, but I think it understood my directions pretty well. It does give the stylistic direction I specified, so good job, I guess. Now, I did have a last one that I wanted to try because we're doing, because we're using the Web Codecs API in this episode. I wanted to do an intro that evoked decoding and encoding video. So, you know, I don't know, but just here it is, I guess. Encoding and decoding video. So we got this all working, I guess. I got some intros out of it. I really have to keep going at this point. So you'll see more intros as I continue doing episodes. But I did learn some things. I learned to be more of a creative director when it comes to this. Try to give it style, emotion, feeling when creating my shaders, rather than do mathy things. Don't have it do like scales, geometric transforms. It just gets into a rabbit hole of errors when you do that, and it also gets into a rabbit hole of errors when you give it your own code and try to make it go from there. So basically, start with a simple shader that does nothing, and it actually finishes code for you then, which is great because you need finished code for it to work. So start there and keep iterating, keep making subtle changes until you get what you want, or you just give up and call it good enough, I guess. So there we go. Like I said, I am now locked into making WebGL shaders with ChatGPT for the show now. So I will leave you with one more shader I created. I asked ChatGPT to make me a WebGL shader for our AI future. Here it is. So actually that looks a lot like our encoding and decoding video shader. So that's our AI feature, I guess. Lots of uncreative output. Yeah. Anyway, we made an awesome web component this time around, the recordable canvas. Check out the code, download it at NPM. I wrote a blog post all about it on webcomponents.space, so check that out too. Until next time, see you later.